Well, I think as the analysis always shows that in the last 2 to 3 years, 80% of the incremental profit always comes from a very nominal increase in the sales of cigarettes. So that probably the trend still continues, but I think the volume number still continues to disappoint as far as the cigarettes are concerned. But as far as the other businesses are concerned, whether it's paper business or whether it is the hotel business, I think both of them have really disappointed quite a bit, and there's little hopes that they will really turn around very quickly. And coming to the FMCG business, I think it has been as per the trend. So all in all, I think ITC still continues to be a stock where one would still look at when to buy. Even if there is some kind of a correction, I think people will still look to buy. The question is when. But I would think that maybe 7 to 8% lower, I would still be a very good, I would be a buyer in that.
Okay, it is a dip below 5900 for the Nifty at this point, so it is some amount of volatility which is seeping in at 3 p.m. So let's go across to Anuj, who's going to fill us in on what we can expect in terms of expiry closing as well as a quick recap of GAIL's numbers.
Indeed, Ekta. I'll first come to the derivative.
As one of your analysts very rightly put it, I think this under recovery is something which most of us really have any hold on it. But having said that, I think there are 2-3 things happening. Maybe the gas price hike is going to hit them, but they're also increasing the overall capacity of the petrochemical business. And from next year onwards, if this under recovery really stops, I think net probably whatever they show in this year probably would be the bottom. Probably from next year onwards, which is what market would be very rightly discounting, I think that is a time when really GAIL would start showing a sustainable growth, and hopefully if Reliance is able to step up its gas production, that also will help GAIL. So all in all, I think GAIL probably has hit the bottom, and possibly maybe it will become a defensive buy for some time to come, and possibly a good investment candidate over a slightly longer term.
Okay, so that's the word coming in on GAIL, but the market's still down, so 5900 may be spared today. It's disappointing actually. The market might just see a 1% up move, or the Nifty might see a 1% up move by the time the series closes up, and banks, etc., may see a knock of more than about 5 to 6 odd %. Dilip, how are you approaching the next month or the next couple of months? Do you think this underperformance at the bank...
That goes without saying. So whatever RBI has taken, if the finance minister is to be believed, they are short-term steps and they probably will be temporary. So possibly it's going to lead to a lot of volatile price movements. So we think that, of course, the things are really stacked up against most of the banks, and particularly those private sector banks, because their short-term rates are really going to go up as the liquidity gets tightened. So I think I would not really think that the banks possibly are done with, but possibly I think at a lower levels they would become a very interesting sector to look at. So I would really wait for some more correction to happen and possibly look at some pick and choose in this particular sector.
Dilip, how would you be placed on the IT space, or rather Wipro going into its earnings tomorrow?
Well, as far as Wipro is concerned, I think it's one of the stocks which we like, and I think that is one stock which, even if it disappoints in a quarter or two here and there, possibly I think it's a stock to look at. And I think I would really think that given the overall situation of the rupee depreciation which has really happened, maybe it will help Wipro in the bottom line. But net, I think whatever changes that they have made, it's probably slowly bearing fruits. And so on a long-term basis, possibly Wipro would still qualify as a good candidate to invest in.
Okay, those are M&M Financial's numbers. The net profits have come.
It's going to lead to the increase in the borrowing cost in the short run. So surely I think the wholesale borrowers, like most of these NBFCs are, they probably have taken it on the chin. But having said that, I think M&M Finance in particular, I think is one stock which I think we should certainly keep a watch on. I think it's a stock really to buy for the long term and even from a defensive perspective. But otherwise, I would also go in for something like a Bajaj Finserv, which I think is something which they have been doing pretty well in their bottom line, whether it's ROEs or even NII growth. So I think that's another stock which probably we like, and I think that really appears to be good.
Okay, that's the NII figure. That as well is actually lower than our estimate. So it's a growth of just about 25 odd % that M&M Financial has seen on the top line. Remember, the medium and heavy commercial vehicle segment forms 20% of M&M's total book, and we've seen the way that segment has gotten completely thrashed. So you will see repercussions on an NBFC like M&M Financials for sure, and you're seeing some chinks.
Well, very frankly, I think it's a question of de-rating. It's a question of corporate governance. It's clearly that the wholesale management really wanted some money desperately. Possibly they took something out of royalty, and possibly they structured this in a way so that they could take out 3,500 crores is what would be our analysis. So it's not the end of it. Possibly what could happen is these companies will continue to generate serious amount of free cash in the future, both Ambuja and Cement. So the question that will really rankle and will haunt every investor is, if they have taken the money out of Ambuja, will they do the same with ACC? May not be, but the doubt will remain. And I think, like typically what happens with Indian management when some of these stocks get derated, I would presume that these two companies also should suffer the same fate, because they have really done something which is a very serious corporate governance issue. I think after the distribution of that big dividend which they did last time, I think we are expecting other income also is going to taper off, and even the income tax rate is going to go up for them. So all in all, I think we are expecting the results to be much more muted and much more sober this time. So in a way, I don't think it's going to disappoint. The larger question is, in the over next 2 to 3 years, are we still going to see a solid growth really emerging? So possibly that would really define the way HUL is going to move.
So Darshan, have you looked at the charts of Zee Entertainment? It's very close to its 52-week high. Would you have any recommendation on that chart?
Yes, we've been consistently recommending Zee as a buy. Even now with this broad whole market collapse, Zee remains a buying opportunity, but not today. Today's rally is because of F&O and expiry considerations. Don't get caught in this. But eventually, once this cools down, Zee remains a buying opportunity. It's one of the few stocks that suggesting a significant up move is still coming.
Just 3 more minutes to go. Dilip, what's the sense that you're getting as we head into the August series? I mean, I heard you mention earlier about what your worries are, but do you think this market has the potential to get back all the way down to the yearly lows that we've seen, or do you think it will just sort of totter around in this range?
Well, I think I don't think that the markets will really give in a big way. But the fact still remains that there are too many things at play at the moment, and very complicated at that. And you do not know really which factor really dominates at what point of time, and then everybody just talks about that for a while. But I think it's more also to do with the fact that the FII's flows have been very erratic, and more to say, I think they have really tapered off. In the absence of their support, I think markets still remain pretty vulnerable, though I think the downside, I don't think it can be below 5,500 or 5,600.
Okay, so perhaps the downside may be restricted, but
for the company, for the bank. And I think in terms of the NII growth and in terms of the pre-provisioning operating profit growth, I think they will be very, very sober, considering that the overall environment, we have not seen any great serious credit growth in the system as such. But I think that's a bank which I would really watch for, because it has corrected very seriously, and maybe around these levels, maybe some small downside, I would still look to buy this particular bank at a suitable time.